than this one. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a Angry Nation podcast. Welcome to it.
This is my podcast. Welcome to my podcast.
Folks, it is another sad morning. Yet again. We're sad again. With the sad fight song.
How? Okay.
What would you say? How will we win?
Is there a way to make the sad fight song like 5 times as sad?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to be too sad, but yeah, I mean, we could always make it sadder. I think the thing to, like, the whole reason we do the show the next day, because we could certainly do it, like, immediately after, but it's going to be a hot take show, right? Like, for everybody, everybody, if you're a part of this mess, you're gone now, right? Like, that's the risk, I suppose, right? You don't necessarily want that. You want, like, a measured, kind of like, all right, we slept on it a little bit.
So I'm still thinking about the fight song. Let me back up here. What if you did one that was like super emo? You did an emo version.
Yeah, man, we can do that too. Like
Full lyrics.
Yeah, just full on. I'm sad now.
Well, I mean, it doesn't have to be measured, right? It doesn't have to. It's not like we're getting paid by anybody to be calm.
That's a good point. Me saying that I want it to be measured is just me saying that, right? Like I said, there's a lot of this
editorial choice.
Yeah, there's a lot of this whole thing where like you go to GoMinggreen.com, right? And everybody there is upset, and they've fired everybody like 4 times already. You know what I mean? Like just going by their reaction. They've also promoted everybody, 4 or 5 times too. After the 3-4 weeks, they're like, "Is this the best team we've ever had?" We're like, "Okay, calm down there, buddy. We haven't even played Memphis yet." That's part of the fun of college football. I will acknowledge.
The answer was yes at that point.
Yeah. So the thing is, right? Like North Texas 5-1 at a point in time. We hadn't played Memphis, but we thought we could do well against them because we played well against them last season. And the answer was, we did. We played them well in Memphis. We did a good enough job, I thought. Didn't win the game. Some of that was defense. Some of that was offense. We did a whole podcast about it. But we felt okay-ish going into Tulane, 3-lane. They're better defensively than Memphis is. And they're better with a run game too, and they whooped us.
Yeah, and I agree. I mean, they were a better squad than us in general. I mean, and as they've proven, better squad than almost all the teams in the conference.
Yeah. So I mean, like you can be like, well, that was whatever. You can break it down, and there's injuries and all kinds of other stuff. I thought they played okay against Army, but since 3-lane injured Chandler Morris, is it the whole reason? I don't know. But Chandler Morris hasn't played well. DT Sheffield hasn't played well. Damon Ward hasn't played well. Wyatt Young hasn't played well. You go down the list. I think the only guy that's played well is Conwright a little bit. But even then, he was dropping some passes in that little bit of time there. So you look at this whole thing here, and there's a lot of stuff. You got 2 linemen quit, right? Gabe Blair quit. Leaky Asanuga quit. He just left the roster. Well, to be fair, I don't know that they quit. Maybe they got kicked off. I don't know. The reports are that they left the team. Whatever.
Yeah, either way, they're gone. With just a couple games left in the season.
Yeah, I mean, it's still a big part of the season. You got like a month left, and then if you're gonna go to a bowl game, there's all of that. And maybe you're like, I don't want to go to a bowl game. I don't want to go to bowl practices. I don't want to go to Frisco. Whatever. That's fine. It's your own decision, but I don't think that's like I disagree with it. I think it's a bad look. If this team was ever honored or anything like that, not that it's super likely. Yeah, I mean, you're not really gonna be part of it. You're gonna be remembered as, oh yeah, I remember you quit. What was up with that? Anyway, um, the thing about this whole squad, right? Like, is that it is super young, right? I think we gotta hold that in our brains as we're thinking about the rest of it. Eric Morris did mention some of it. He was saying, what is it like? I think in his post game he said something like, we did have like 5 freshmen starting. That's not an excuse, but it is what it is, and but like, um, young players, some of them get a lot better in the season, but they still make young player type mistakes. Um, so I'm not really upset with that. The young player type mistakes are like, you don't know what you're gonna get all the time. But like, I think last year, number 22, Landon Sides, got better as the season went on. And I think like Wyatt Young, Miles Coleman have kind of gotten worse. I don't say maybe worse, but they haven't improved, right? Like Miles Coleman had a couple drops today. Um, Wyatt Young has kind of been invisible, hasn't really been doing a whole lot. I think he caught N pass. I don't know. Before we get into like the whole season, anything, I want to get your impressions of the game yesterday because we were up 21-0. Remember that? That was fun. That was a good time there, 21-0.
It was nice while it lasted. I mean, I think it would have been more. Obviously, it would have been more if it weren't for those 2 turnovers at the beginning. The defense didn't look any different than it had any time at this point in the season, or at any point in the season. Uh, you know, they were marching. East Carolina was marching. They were about to score a touchdown. We forced a turnover there in the goal at the goal line. I was like, okay, well, that was lucky. We could have got scored on, but we got that turnover. And then they were forcing it up the field through the air, and so they forced that. We forced that turnover, uh, and so that allowed us to go up 21-0. After that, it was just the same, right? But we can't get turnovers every single drive. Um, what I'm trying to say here is even with the removal of the defensive coordinator, the defense didn't look any different than it had been before. Maybe there were some scheme changes, but we were still getting gashed, right? They were still running. Once they figured out, okay, maybe we don't have to pass every down. We just need to run it the rest of the game. It worked perfectly. We were beat through the trenches. We got beat by number 17 down the field with the same exact route every single time. It was, I was like, okay, well, let's start looking at 2025.
Um, to support your point there, I'm looking at the cumulatives. After the first quarter, right, they had 131 yards in the first quarter. We had 179 and 2 scores, right? Um, like you said, they get a big play down the field. We get an effort play, right? Stripping the ball bounces our way. We get it, turnover. That's fine. That's also something that Eric Morse has said that he wanted more of, and maybe a factor in firing Matt Capone was that like, hey, we're not getting enough turnovers, right? Like yards, not as big of a deal. Like nobody wants to give up a lot of yards. However, um, you know, turnovers, right? We want the ball back, right? You obviously don't want to give up big plays all the time, whatever. They gave up big plays, turnover, quick interception, you go down and score. Um, to your point, right? 131 yards by East Carolina. I didn't see a lot of schematic differences, and I don't know that you can make a whole lot of schematic changes within a week. So I was not really judging on that, but I did see a little bit more of 9 Chipley as like a jack linebacker. He was a hand on the ground, one of the 3 down lineman dudes for Matt Capone, even when he was doing his 3-4 defensive look, right? And whatever that I saw a little bit of that. I think East Carolina was adjusting to that a little bit in that first, second quarter, because we did get a couple stops, and then after that they just blew them open. Right? You look at the first half, 58 yards, 208 total yards, and just the 7 points. Right? That last drive. I don't have the drive stats pulled up in front of me, but second half, 33 points, 345 yards, including 197 yards rushing. Right? They ran for 200 yards in the second half, all by itself. Right? So that's really it. If you look, I'm looking at their drive stats now. Fumble, interception. Those are the ones we're excited about. Punt, right? 3 and out. And then turnover on downs, 7 plays, 61 yards. So we're a little excited about that, right? Because that's a turnover on downs, even though they don't count as a turnover. And then a punt. So we felt good. Hey, we forced them to punt. We got to stop on fourth down. I think someone was tweeting at me like, "When's the last time we saw fourth down? Fourth and one stop our squad." We're great. I was like, "Well, the last time we saw it was Tulane, I think." that didn't go too well. I remember that. The next play, we got sacked. But after that, touchdown, field goal, touchdown, field goal, punt, touchdown, half. The end of the half. That was the rest of it, right? So you're like, yeah, that how they get, I think at 40 points, right? They were down 21. You know, 31 straight points, and then we scored, and then they scored again, right? 40. For us, turnover on downs, start the game again. Slow, 7 plays, 20 yards, turnover on downs. A couple touchdowns back to back. A field goal attempt that was blocked, and everybody was a little upset about this guy. Right? Oh, it was this. Yeah, this is the field goal attempt that I can't remember which one was blocked anymore. One of them, like we made it right. I can't remember anymore.
We did. I think we missed
both,
right?
Yeah, one was blocked.
We missed
the
first one, and the second one was blocked.
There you go. So the first one was 11 plays, 75 yards, and then touchdown, fumble. That was that terrible fumble by our dude DT Sheffield. Right, he got the first down, turned up the field, fumbled, like squirted out, and then turnover on downs, 4 plays, 8 yards, turnover on downs, punt, field goal attempt missed, touchdown, punt, turnover on downs, to end the game. So like, I mean, you look at yeah, it's kind of crazy. Like it's real easy to see what happened when you're watching the game. You're like, well, obviously they didn't do this play, right? Like it's just a flip of it, but they were more explosive. 447 yards for North Texas, right? Only 447 yards, because you want this offense to be clicking at like 500 to 600. Like 400 means that we're struggling, especially how quickly we play. We had 84 plays, only 5.3 yards per play. We want to be at like 6 and above, right? East Carolina was at 6.8. And a lot of it is that we weren't really clicking with big gashing run plays, right? Shane Porter only had 74 yards and 17 carries, which is 4.5 yards to carry about, which is good, but it's not great. And then, I mean, it's not great for what we want. Like if they're dropping everybody into coverage, we need to be able to gash them, and we're not. Chandler Morris only had 266 yards passing on 48 attempts. Right, he had 3 scores, but those came in the first half. And I mean, look at this, right? Conrad had 8 targets, 8 catches, but Ward 9 targets, 5 catches. Sheffield 5 targets, 4 catches. Coleman 7 targets, 4 catches. Like those are the ones those are hiding those drops, right? Because third down, you know, third down
Yeah.
and 6 drop. What do you do? Go ahead.
So I was going to mention that you see like these long. When I'm looking at the stat sheets, right? Shane Porter long of 20. That means he was 16 for the rest of the carries, 16 for 54. Or Conwright had 59 yards. Long was 18. So that's how many catches here?
7 catches, I guess, for like
For
60
41.
yards. Yeah.
So I mean, respectable, right? But most of these receptions are coming near the line of scrimmage, and they're not getting broken up, or they're not breaking for big yard plays. And we've seen defenses adjust against that throughout the season. When before you would see a 1 reception for a 97-yard touchdown or whatever, right? Multiple times throughout that 5-and-1 run. But now they're focusing on the screen game. And so you saw some plays that kind of prepared the defense for a successful North Texas screenplay, where you would have North Texas run a jet sweep or a fake jet sweep into a zone run, and then the following play would be the screen game because they're focusing the defense down the mid the to the line of the offensive line and the run game, and then you shoot a screen pass to him, and we'll get a few yards out of that. Most of the time it's covered, but Conrad or Sheffield are good enough to break for a few yards, but a lot of times they were stopped with near the line of scrimmage, and we're not able to push ahead. Then you got the issues with drops and stuff. So you combine those two, tons of passes at the line of scrimmage when we were not able to connect down the field. And you end up with a lot of 3-and-outs, quick 3-and-outs, a lot of punts, a lot of turnover on downs. That's what we've seen every year or every game. But one last thing was we finally Eric Morris was finally like, okay, let's kick the ball, right? I'll do what everybody's asking for, be reasonable. And then we miss one and we get the other one blocked. So that was another added factor.
Yes. So as far as like the offense is concerned, right? Because like I think Eric Morris is frustrated at this whole thing, and I'm sympathetic to his plight. Right? There's a little bit of he's dialing up the right plays. Like I mean, again, the nearest thing that we have in connection to this, because like nobody here has been an offensive coordinator before, right? Um, is you're playing the video game, right? You have the perfect play, and then you run it and like somebody messes up, right? The lineman gets thrown off, gets thrown down. The guys, doesn't run the right route or something, or he just doesn't catch the pass. Like those are the nearest analogies there, I guess. Um, I've been frustrated. Like, oh, come on, you got to catch the ball, right? The guy just hits him in the hands, and he just drops it, and you're like, oh. Um, that's what was happening, right? Like if you look at the game plan, because I don't think he became a stupid coordinator. Like he's amazing. 4 weeks later, he's dumb. He just like bumped his head or something like that. No, he's calling, he's dialing up some good things. I can see it. He's like, okay, we'll do this screenplay that they've been onto our screenplay, so we'll fake this and we'll do that. Right? You're talking about it, that fake swing, middle screen throw. That's a beautiful design play. That one hit. We caught it, turned it upfield. Good stuff, right? We ended up scoring a touchdown. Um, some of those other ones where we're not executing our screens, right? We're not getting blocked up, or we're dropping passes. Now that throws us off. Now what do we do, right? Well, okay. What would have been 3rd and 3 is now 3rd and 9. Okay, let's dial up this play, and we call something else. Another drop. All right, now we're at fourth and 8. Now what? Now I mean, like we used up a good play, right? Now that they've seen the thing, we can't. Let's do that one again. We have to figure out how to create space, get guys into that space, and make a catch. If we don't make that catch, well, like we've burned some resources there. Now what? And I think we got in those situations. We get in those situations a lot. And so I'm real upset about the not catching the ball, because that's what you got to do, right? Last week and the week before, I was upset at Chandler Morris for not making the right reads, right? Staring down his receivers. That one against UTSA where he's scrambling and the defenders are dropping off to go guard the receiver, and he's like, no, I will fit it in there. Like, keep running, dude, take the space. Like, you have to see the space and make good decisions with the ball. And he wouldn't do it.
Yeah. Well, and today yesterday you saw why he did that, right? He's got extreme confidence in his ability to fit it in a tight window.
Yeah.
Because he does. He has that ability. Yeah. And so he's able to, and he's got the anticipation too, to drop it into zone coverage. I mean, some of these passes were amazing. You see the replay from behind the line of scrimmage from his perspective, and you see two defenders, and he passes it, and at that point, I think it was Ward, comes into view from behind a defender, and he grabs it. Beautiful.
Yeah, and so like, but that's the thing is that like that one is a timing one, right? Because it's a quick slant route. He knows that's the window and has to be there, and that's good. It's those scramble ones where like the we don't know, like the timing's not there, and the guys are anticipating it. But yeah, I understand your point, and I said this before too, right? Like you want your above and beyond plays, right? Like your shouldn't plays. Like I would say, if you have a great one-on-one basketball player, you want to save that for when you need it, right? You don't want to say, let's make that our whole offense. Let's see if he can cook the whole team one-on-one for 30 shots a game. Like, you know what that's going to equal? Like, he's going to have like 30 points and you're going to lose by 20. That's what's going to happen. Um, you need to have easy buckets for everybody. And then when you absolutely need a bucket, then let's clear out and give it to the best player, right? Now, because nobody can guard him. Right now, they have to be worried that you're going to run the offense and he could just break free of it, right? It's Michael Jordan in the triangle. You know, like they would say, all right, it's time for no more triangle. Now it's just one-on-one, right? Now Mike Jordan's going to go do something. And then he go do it, right? You spend all this time and energy defending the triangle, defending Luke Longley getting a little easy layup, right? And now you got to defend Mike Jordan, who can score from anywhere, do a little fadeaway. Nowadays it's Luka Doncic. It's it's on and so forth. That's what you want to do. You want to design up an offense where you're getting easy plays, easy yards, and then hey, it's fourth and one. Let's put it in our best player's hand. Right. Let's let our dude go make a play, because he can make a play. Not only do you have to defend him just running the good offense, but we trust him to make great decisions. He has a great arm. He can put the ball anywhere. You have to defend the whole field. Right. I don't know that North Texas does a great job of that, and Eric Morris kind of he apologized for that. Whatever. There's another point I want to make about him. I said this before, is that like it was refreshing to hear him say the kinds of things that he does in the press conferences, like that's on me, and I got to do a better job of defending, coming up with plays to do whatever. Yeah, okay, that's great, dude, but we don't want to hear that after their fifth straight loss. There's only so many times we can hear you say it's your fault. Yeah, then we're gonna be like, yeah, sure is your fault.
Again.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, yeah, the lack of adjustment when it was so clear that East Carolina was adjusting to how we were defending against them and how we were running the offense against them, because Chandler Morris was picking apart the zone defense, and then they switched to man, and then we struggled real hard. Part of it was the receivers not getting open. Part of it was the mistakes, drops and stuff. And then the play calling was near the line of scrimmage, and again, we like you said, we were having our guys go one on one against defenders based on the play design, right? Where on a screen you've got receivers blocking a guy, and that leaves one defender open against the receiver. And a lot of times when we were beating them before, we're getting tackled. So that part was frustrating. Again, I think we saw a better run game this game than we had in a long time, but it was still boom or bust, right? It was based on I hope this breaks, I hope this works, kind of run game, and it didn't. We're not. I understand that we're down to our fifth running back, right? But the our blocking isn't great. Shane Porter turns small gains into big gains because he's just fast and shifty, but he's not like a true running back as we know. So we can't lean on that either. And then the tendencies are all right when we try to pass on first down, which is like not part of this, not a normal script, right? People run on first down. When that doesn't work, Eric Morris wants to eat some of the yards up to make that third down shorter, so he's going to hand the ball off, and that happens a lot. And then again with third and short, it's usually a handoff. Occasionally we'll see a run pass option, or no, not a run pass option, a run option uh, with Chandler Morris. But man, it's just so frustrating to watch. Like, here comes a run, here comes a run.
yeah, I do agree that we can get real predictable especially when it comes on third and long, like third and eight, third and medium kind of deal. Where, like you said, it's like, all right, he's gonna do a little draw, and then it's gonna try to get 5 yards, and then on fourth and three, he's gonna run a little screen this way, or if it's like fourth and one, he's gonna hand it off, and we're just gonna be ready for that because he did that against Army, Tulane, UTSA, and this game, and it's always the same result. And like it's the guy getting crushed in the backfield. This time, instead of Shane Porter trying to run through everybody, it was Mackenzie McGill, and he got hit 2 yards in the backfield. And I think that run by Shane Porter against UTSA on 4th and 2, 4th and 1, whatever it was, that broke for 40 yards and a score, that did more to hurt us than anything because he was like, "See, I told you that works. See, I told you that's a good play. I'm gonna run it again." I mean, so like, I'm less critical of that. I don't like it. I'm saying I don't think that's the reason we're winning or losing. I think 'cause we're putting up 600 yards while that was the case before. We were winning games while that was the case before. I think it's all the rest of it that is not, popping off. I'm not gonna. I see what you're saying. Where we're kind of hoping guys can make plays. I think that's kind of what you do, right? You get the ball to DT Sheffield and say, "Go make a play," right? That's fine. But I'll say that, like, yeah, we're not hitting anything long. You're right about that. Like, we're not like against UTSA. Shane Porter was the whole offense hitting. Here's 75 yards. Here's 40 yards. Here's like it. He was hitting them, and we're asking where the big plays are everywhere else, right? And you can kind of see that. Like, you look at the home offense, big plays. We only have 5 big plays, right? 20 yards, 16 yards, 16 yards. What was it? I'm trying to figure out who it was. Pass left to Sheffield, pass left to Damon Ward, pass left to Damon Ward, uh, complete to Damon Ward. All these are Damon Ward passes, and then to Blair Conrad, 18 yards. These are all those plays, right? And we had six big plays. Those are gains of 10 yards or more by the run game. And you compare it to ECU's big plays. They had 7 plays for 232 yards, right? So ours are like barely squeaking over the threshold of 15 yards being a thing. There's 27, 44, 41, 19, 50, 28, 23. Those are passing. And then run yards gained, plus 10, 11, 39, 23. And not shown here is that they were getting big, 5 yard, 6 yard gains on the rundowns, right? So they had 3rd and short, setting it up nice and easy for them. Again, this going back and saying the same thing, right? The easy number to look at this is yards per play. We had 5.3. I like to execute, but I think our execution should be getting us 3-4 yards per play, and then that sets up the bigger ones because you're like, God dang it, we got to stop these screens. They're just screening us to death, right? Was it 3 times 4 is 12, right? So like if we get 4 yards, 4 yards, 4 yards, it's a first down. It's fine. They get frustrated with that. It's the same way we got frustrated with Army, right? Just like, hey, they're just 4 yards falling down. Bryson Daly falling down 5 yards. Look at him, he's falling down again, 4 yards, just falls forward. Like this little guy, and he's talking mess to our defensive tackle. You can grind it out. You get teams to step up, and you say, oh, look at that. Guy's wide open right behind your head. Touchdown, North Texas.
Yeah, and you're hitting up on a couple of points, though. The second of which was bully ball, right? We don't have the strength, the size, the ability to play bully ball on both offense or defense. We're not going to run over you. We're not going to crush your offensive line. It's not how we're designed. We're not put together that way. And then the first point, what you were talking about,
Dinking and dunking.
Yeah, dinking and dunking, right. So we've talked about before air raid, right, where we stretch the field horizontally and then we stretch it vertically. We're not doing that. We're trying to stretch it horizontally, and then it's with mixed success. It was our bread and butter at the beginning of the season, right? We would stretch horizontally and score a touchdown. And then throughout these games, Morris was able to connect downfield. That was the awesome part of.
Yeah, so I said 2 things, right? Because you mentioned this earlier that ECU adjusted. They were doing a good job of dropping 8 and then suddenly bringing 5 or 6, and so then we we're like, okay, they were going to bring pressure. Let's dial up a little dink and dunk pass, and they drop 8. So we set up a little short pass and we catch it and there's 4 yards and they make a tackle. Or we drop that 4 yard pass and then they're excited about it and it's 3rd and 10. It was good by them. When they were bringing pressure, they got to them, right? We scored in the second half, um, thanks to a couple face masks, right? We mentioned that they brought a double A gap blitz, right up the middle. We had Mackenzie McGill, our preferred walk on, lining up to block that. He got a hat on the hat, but he got obliterated, you
It
know.
knocked over, yeah.
Yeah, it looked like one of them sandworms from Dune, just like you know, he didn't do too much, and then like 2 guys hit Chandler Morris, and then there was a face mask, and so we got on that like 15-yard sack, we got like 15-yard first down. So like that is happening. So you look at the FAU game, right? One of those big plays that we had. We're throwing it up 1-on-1 to Dalton Carnes. I feel like I haven't seen Dalton Carnes in like a month. Like, what happened to that guy? I seen him on the field, but I haven't seen him make a play. Like, I'm looking here. It says he caught 2 passes for 15 yards. I don't remember that. Instagram, do y'all remember that? Do you remember him catching those 2 passes? They were pretty unremarkable. And so, like, we.
Yeah, I did remember thinking, oh, yeah, Carnes.
Yeah, I thought he was not suspended. No, he's playing. He started this game. It's like we haven't had a deep threat, right? And you look across the board there. You're like, okay, who's our deep threat? Like Nick Rimpert had a target, no catches, no nothing, right? Like he's kind of been absent. I'm getting. I don't want to defend the coach too much, but I'm just trying to, like I said, just trying to understand it. That's the whole point of this show, right? To sort of understand a little bit more, not just be like, "Yes, they're fire everybody," because that. Okay, so you have your X and Z receivers. Those are usually bigger, taller, and you want them to get downfield so that we can throw the ball deep to them, right? Now, there's some exceptions to that. Your H and your Y guys are a little quicker. They're smaller, and you want to throw the ball short to them and let them go, run around, right? That's your DT Sheffields. That's your Lennon Sides, your Wyatt Youngs, those little guys that you can throw the ball and find the little spaces, and they're hard to tackle, right? And we've seen DT Sheffield do great. We've also seen him not do a great job today. Like he dropped like 2 passes today or yesterday, and including that one that was going to be a sure touchdown. It was a little Y cross or something. I can't remember the play exactly, but he was coming across the field. We put it in the pocket. He drops it. That was going to be a touchdown because DT Sheffield in space. That would have been great. Yeah, shout out to everybody listening and watching on Instagram. They said they're going to listen later on the pod. Um, so then you're like, okay, where are we going? Who's our deep threat? When was the last time we thrown it deep to anybody besides Dalton Carnes? I cannot remember looking at Nick Rimpert and saying, "Go deep, Nick. We're gonna get you over the top." Damon Ward is our other guy we've been doing that, throwing it to. I think he made an appearance versus Army, I think it was, and we threw it to him or tried to throw it to him. We tried to throw it deep to Damon Ward against UTSA, and I think he scored against them or got close to it. I can't remember. And then famously, he threw an interception, right? Throwing deep to Damon Ward. Damon Ward's our deep threat on that side. But he's been hurt, and he's also been struggling. To answer your question, like, where's that vertical stretch? I think we're missing it with the players. I don't know that anybody stepped up and said, "No, me, throw it to me, coach. I'm the one winning these one-on-one battles. I'm getting deep. I'm beating guys. You throw it up here, I'm going to make a catch."
I think it's maybe scheme, because it's we're throwing short to deep, right? And I'm trying to run through all the plays that I can remember from the past several weeks, but you usually have a guy at the line of scrimmage trying to fake that screen, right, drawing attention from the defenders, and then you've got guys attacking the zone, so they're trying to find the soft spots in the zone. We dink and dunk and pick those apart. So I don't know if we've got the traditional type of air raids where we're going like the deep comebacks, or having one or two guys going deep.
Well, again, not to defend the coach too much, but I think that's there. But I think 2 things are preventing that from happening as often for us, for it to work out. Is one, our pass protection hasn't been super amazing, and then 2, I don't think guys are getting open. That was my larger point. Is that we don't see a lot of the full field, so we can't see all of the routes and the things. But
right. Well, Well, what I'm saying is like I think you might have that may be part of it that guys are not able to get open down the field often. Um, but I think my counter argument is that maybe the plays aren't designed to do that, other than clearing out some space underneath. The pass protection is a huge factor there, probably. Or how can I get the ball out of Chandler Morris's hands as fast as possible? And that is the quick screens, or instead of a quick screen, do a fake screen and then screen the middle. Um,
But yeah,
I, I
I'm saying you're right about that because that is it's not the offensive scheme, it's the defensive scheme, right? And they've said it, and we saw it, right? They drop 8. When you drop 8, like, and I don't know exactly how they're doing it because we can't see the full field all the time. But if they're dropping in quarters, if they're dropping in 3 deep zones and flooding the zones with bodies, it's difficult to stand back there and try to fire, a deep post, right? There's a middle safety. You throw a deep post, you're throwing right to them. Um, and like I said, unless you have just absolute beasts out there, like first round draft pick, like a Megatron dude, you're not really gonna throw it up against that, right? Because if it's Megatron, I'm like, all right, let me just throw it up there and see what we can do every once in a while. Just why not? Why not? It's still a plus play.
yeah, we
Um,
don't have those guys.
so you don't
We've
have
got
that. You take what the defense gives you, and then that's the part is that the defense is saying we don't think. I mean, it's all relative, right? Because we scored 28 points and put up 447 yards. It's all relative. We don't think that you're going to be as effective doing that, and they're right. Right, turnover on downs. We can't execute to that level the way we did earlier in the season. And that's because of injuries, sure. Shuffling of the offensive line, okay. Running back depth chart being devastated, fine. Whatever. I think the defensive coordinators have been right, and they say, we're going to mix it up every once in a while. Play on the frustration of Chandler Morris, being frustrated the guys are not catching the ball, and we'll just hit him in the face every once in a while, and maybe even it's a face mask, right? I think overall that wins. Uh,
uh, I'm pulling up the roster real quick, and
you're gonna call everybody
so
out by name. Number
well
starting at
no,
number 0.
the heaviest receiver that we've got
It has to be
is
Damon Ward.
Damon Ward. He's 5'11", 204. So
Yeah,
that's a slot receiver size. Tallest guy we've got, Kyle Koch. I don't think we've seen him. He's a freshman.
we've seen it.
Mason Ferguson.
Last time we saw him was against Texas Tech when the ball hit his helmet and popped up in the air, and then he
Okay.
sat down. That was it. Yeah.
That guy. So, a lot of our guys, all sub 6 foot, most of them are sub 6 foot, and other than Damon Ward, everybody else is sub 200 pounds, 180, 160, 170. We're not built to be that kind of team again. We're built to be light and quick. When you look at Miles Coleman, 5'6", 159. You look at Landon Sides, 5'11", 191. It's meant to, like the air raid, like we say, we try to, when you're talking about the triangle or whatever, right, try to isolate one guy and allow him to break something big, like we talked about ad nauseum with Jalen Darden, right? But we don't have Jalen Darden. We have Damon Ward. We've got Nick Rempert with the dropsies. DT Sheffield and Blair Conwright are the two X factors that we have that can break one for big on their own. But the defenses are honing in on them, especially DT Sheffield, right? When you are going against the top 3 receiver in the country, what do? You double team them, sometimes triple team them, and when your game plan is based on passing it to him near the line of scrimmage, then you just as soon as he gets the ball, you just completely swarm him. And that's why it's nothing that Sheffield hasn't been able to accomplish. It's that the defenses have been able to pin that down, and Blair Conwright is not able to make up for that.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
yeah. There's a reason. Like I said, I'm not. I'm still bullish on this offense. I'm still bullish on this scheme because, like, you look at what happens, right? Um, that early in the season, Damon Ward got off, right? 230 yards, 12 catches, a couple scores against South Alabama. And so then they're like, okay, well, let's not let this dude do the thing. And then we started throwing to Wyatt Young, right? A little quick screen, turned it up the field, scored a touchdown against Texas Tech. Same thing, landing sides. He started going off. Okay, and then we said, let's stop that little bubble screen game. And then we found some offense with DT Sheffield on those little deep, the little Y sail, right? Little out route, middle screens, quick screens, this, that, and the other. He had like 3 games in a row, 100 yards catching. Team said, okay, let's not let this dude score, right? Number 10, that's the guy to stop. Then that's the part where we haven't had the now what. And I guess you look a little bit at Blair Conrad because he's come on. I think he has 7 scores, and a lot of them have been in the last few games. He had 2 touchdowns in this one, too. He hasn't been amazing. Like, there's a lot of like, oh, yeah, and look at Blair Conrad. He had 59 yards, or he almost had 100 yards and scored. But it's not like, oh, man, Blair Conrad. He was making dudes pay. He scored last week against UTSA, but again, you're just like the guy that's out there running, doing
And
the X stuff.
yeah, it's usually the same play. It's the screen
Well, I
to the
mean,
outside.
that's it. Last week he scored on a little deep out, right? Because it's not even a deep out. It was a quick out. And then today, I mean, yesterday, I think he caught a couple of short stuff. But I take your point. We do a lot of screens, and everybody that's frustrated with their air raid offense starts pointing to the screens. But like I said before the Texas Tech game, when everybody on Texas Tech was upset with their screen game, you can see what they're trying to do. They're trying to get you to step forward and then to throw it over the top, right? That's what they want you to do, right? It's the same reason why you run the ball, run, throw a play action pass. That's the whole idea. It's classic football. It's not very different than that. If you execute the thing, you know, that was Mike Leach saying, why am I going to run it for 3 yards when I can throw it for 3 yards? It's the same thing, right? But like make you defend space. Also, there's a tiny guy. DT Sheffield in space is dangerous. Mackenzie McGill not in space, not as dangerous. This is kind of what we're saying. We're not going to be able to run the ball for 3 yards. Let's throw the ball for 3 yards. We have a good quarterback. This is the idea. I'm not saying this is what I want. This is the idea. And I don't think it's a terrible one. For me, it's about execution. The guys are not catching the ball, and that's not opening up the rest of the offense. We can't throw the ball deep because they're like, hey, it's fine. This guy dropped the ball. It's 4th and 8. Let's just do what we've been doing, right? They're gonna drop the ball. Let's drop 8 in coverage again, and then who was there to throw it to? I think Chandler Morris. I can't say anybody's name anymore. I think he tried to fire something into like Wyatt Young or Landon Sides. I forget who it was. I think it was Landon Sides. It was not open. He threw it a little bit behind him. Sides had no chance to catch it. I mean, but it's 4th and 8. You don't have a whole lot of options anyway, and they were dropping everybody into coverage. Like, it just needs to be the perfect pass in the right spot. I mean, like you didn't lose the play on 4th and 8. You lost it on 3rd and 8, right? You lost it earlier. And I think the main criticisms of Eric Morris that I think that hold the most water is that his frustrations with his own offense are leaking into his play call, his overall game management. Why was the field goal unit late coming on the field? Because he didn't know if he wanted to go for it or whatever, right? Why was the punt unit getting a delay game? And everybody's like, is that because we wanted more yards? I don't know, but it looks bad, right? It looks like
Yeah,
maybe.
if you're gonna get, yeah, those you made 2 good points. Well, 3 good points, but yeah, the punt. If you're gonna take the delay game, why don't you just bring the offense out, see if you can draw them off sides,
Yeah,
and then take the yards, and then with the sequence to get to that 4th and 8 pass to Landon Sides, it was at second down. We decided to run it when there's less than 2 minutes left. Clock is running, and it took us. By the time the ball was snapped, how many seconds was that? 25 seconds had run off.
yeah.
And you're telling me you're just gonna, after all this barking on the line and stuff, it's just a handoff. That's poor game management, especially at the end of the game. When it's still, you still have a somewhat of a chance, right? No, at that point it was 2-score game. Anyway, yeah, that right. You got to that 4th and 8 by making mistakes on 1st, 2nd, and 3rd down. Um, It's frustrating.
Yeah, the classic thing that defensive coaches do, they get too conservative, right? Because they're always thinking about their defense, right? And they're like, oh, like their ideal game is like a 3-0 win, right? And where we're just gonna run the ball and we're gonna play defense. We're gonna run the ball and play defense, and then it can get too conservative. Like let's throw the ball every once in a while. Let's be aggressive. And then the classic mistake that very offensive coaches fall into is that they're just overly aggressive and they're always thinking, well, how can our offense get back? Like the game is the game, right? You need to stop them and you need to score, and they work together. As we say, complementary football. Um, I think part of the reason we don't have the greatest complementary football right now is that our offense is struggling, and then our coach is coaching out of frustration and not the health of the game, the health, the improving the chances to win overall. We said this earlier in the season against FAU, and then it was against Memphis too. Is that we're being super aggressive offensively and asking our defense to get stops, right? It was
When they're not able to.
yeah, like okay, punt the ball in this situation, and then we can ask the defense to get a stop over here, right? When we're down one score, but you're having them stop. You're trying to go for it on 4th and 6 in our own territory. I'm talking about the FAU game, and if you don't get it, now the defense has to get a stop, and a field goal is a bad result, right? That's
Yeah,
ridiculous.
you have to at that point you have to defend 10 yards for a scoring opportunity,
Yeah.
which is a lot.
And,
Yeah, yeah.
and that's the part. So now that the offense is not even getting those opportunities, right? We're not as explosive because they're struggling, going through some things. It's more imperative to protect the defense a little bit. Now, all that said, the defense hasn't been great either, right? Like it just collapses both things. That we said 200 yards in the second half, and so that also feeds the offense. Say, well, we got to go score because the defense can't stop anybody, and it's all spiraling there. And I mean, I'll say this. Here's the good news. Temple's very terrible. Very terrible. And so, like we might get a 28-point lead to start the game before we start collapsing. So there's that.
But you've already lost the season now, right?
Yeah.
Let's say you whoop up on Temple and you get a bowl game. Um,
Yeah.
who's going to be excited about it, right? Other than the players, hopefully they get to go to like the Bahamas Bowl,
I don't
right?
know. At least two of them weren't excited about it. Two of them are done. They're done. They put their hand up.
Yeah. But the fans are like, oh well, they're done for the season. They're not going to tune back in. You lost them. You saw the empty stadium on the broadcast yesterday. They're not going to want to commit more time to the team. Basketball's starting up. Other NFL playoffs are starting up. Other college football playoff contenders are starting up. You're asking them to set aside time instead of watching those games. Texas A&M coming up.
I mean,
Instead of
even in the Dallas Fort Worth area, right? SMU's they're in the ACC championship game, right? Like SMU is doing some things, and they've stole some spotlight. Yeah, again, your chance to win it to get everybody's attention is early in the season. We went 5-1, great, but that one loss, the one we played Texas Tech, right? The chance that we had to get, hey everybody, we're tune in, Fox Sports 1, right? Tune in, watch us get our handed to us, right? Watch us look terrible. Watch that. That's what happened, and that was the big opportunity, right? Last year hosting Cal, that was a big opportunity. What did we say? Come watch us get spanked, right? I'm gonna bend over, spank, 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 with a big giant
let's
paddle.
get
Yeah.
soundboard back there.
and so then like that's the lasting memory for the casuals, right? I like there's a like if you break it down, I said there's a game I play and it tells you who your fan base is, and it's like you have like 30% are like your core base, they're just diehards that care about everything, and over here is like casuals, and the rest are like corporate, whatever. Like basically, when you're down, it's only the diehards that are gonna be there, right? The people like us that are podcasting after a Temple game, the people that are on here listening like crazies, and then everybody else are like, all right, I'm not going there. It's I'm fine. And then even within the diehards, there's some sort of casual ones that are like, I can't really justify going to do the big deal.
$15.
Yeah.
$15 for my ticket and 4 hours out of my day or 6 hours out of my day to go drive,
Yeah.
a mile and a half.
Yeah, I mean that's what I'm saying. So like it's a like I'm a diehard. I'm gonna watch the game, do all the stuff. Um, but like say like my extended family, what I'm saying like when we're playing in the championship game, and I was like, yeah, we're gonna go down there. You want me to get you some tickets? And they're like, yeah. And I got them, the tickets, and they went to the game. And they're like, yeah, they lost again. Like the last time you bought me tickets, they lost in that one too. And it's getting to the point like, don't buy me any tickets anymore. I don't want to go. They can always
Yeah,
lose.
yeah,
And I mean, what am I supposed to say to them? Like, like I have all I could tell you, like, well, you got to understand. So, like, I mean, it's relatively a good result. And you can see that the defense is making some improvement. We went from 120th to 119th in defense, which is an improvement. And they're like, yeah, but they lost. That's all they care about. And it's healthy to hear that. It's like, yeah, they lost and they suck. It's not fun. It's not entertaining, right? We can talk about the writing on the
yeah,
show. Hey, see the cinematography on the show? Yeah, it's boring, man. Yeah, but it looks good though, right? You see it? It's boring. I don't like to watch it. I don't know what's going on. It's a terrible show. I don't like it. That's what
yeah,
North Texas football is.
yeah, and you transition from the casual fans of like it's not worth it to me to the diehard fans that are like fire everybody, or I mean, and more emotionally, like it doesn't feel good, right? Why should I make myself feel this way? I don't want to feel that way anymore. Um,
I hate
and
the way it feels to be. Yeah, I mean,
it hurts.
yeah, it does. It's like we're gonna play Temple. Like you said, even if you beat a Temple, which is bad, right? It's gonna be in Philadelphia, right? Whatever.
It can be cold.
It doesn't mean a whole lot for North Texas this season because we felt this whole year we're good enough to beat Temple. We felt like we're good enough to beat East Carolina. We felt like we're good enough to beat UTSA. And so they just you beat Temple, yeah, you got to celebrate wins and all that because every win's hard. But we're like, all right, 6 wins, but it took a month and a half to get there, right? Like the game, if you beat Memphis in Memphis and then still kind of went on a losing streak, I think everybody would be okay, just a little bit better. Because Memphis is one of those teams that you're like,
Sure.
that's the one we got to win. That shows us that you've made a little turn. But you beat a Temple, okay. It's like again, everybody talking about Army. Everybody knows
Well, and
Army
it,
was not that great, beating everybody, and then they got whooped by Notre Dame. And everybody's like, yeah, well, that's what was going to happen because they played like the 130th ranked schedule at this point.
yeah, well, there's some nuances there, right? And I think
I forgot you're a big Army
we
fan.
we're good enough to we have the capability to beat a Memphis, ECU, Army. I mean, we played them close, and then those what was another loss in there? UTSA.
Yeah,
We were good enough to beat those teams. We were not outmatched. We were outplayed, and that lost us the game. We had it. We could have done it, but we didn't.
yeah. I would say the Memphis and Tulane games are ones that I want back definitely because Memphis we were winning that game I think at 2 points, two different points in time, and then the Tulane game we had the ball with a chance to go down and the offense was still clicking a little bit, and then there was that sack, right? That terrible sack, and I think that changed the season in a lot of ways. And then like the UTSA game, like, I don't know, it was similar. It was like a terrible start. Like I don't know, like it was Chandler Morris playing poorly in that game, and it was coming off of a short week. That I mean, I don't know. That's one of those games where you're like, this happens when you play this kind of game, but you have to be prepared for it because it's the nature of the football season. Like there's gonna be weeks where it's gonna be weird. I mean, you look at Alabama losing at Oklahoma, right? They're like, how are they going to be upset? That's college football. There's always one like that, but the ones you want back, I think, are the ones that, like you're saying, where we hurt ourselves, right? Like it was the opposition playing against us, and then also us. And like, hey, wait, is that me in the mirror there? Why am I guarding myself? Like, there's a little bit like that because how are we hurting ourselves? How are we making these drops? How are we not covering that dude? How are we not in the right, look? How are we missing this key? All this other stuff, right? How are we 1 inch away from sacking Seth Hennigan, and then he throws a crucial first down pass. That's the reason we lost. I'm so like here's the positives. I'm like living on the negative. Here's the positive that this is a really young team, and I don't want to sound like Eric Morris, right? But it's a really young team that I think this off season and this recruiting time It's the offensive line and the defensive line. They just got to pour whatever resources. If all we have is $10 in the NIL, that whole $10 needs to go to offensive linemen and defensive lineman recruiting, right? Like that's kind of it. Is whatever it is, throw the whole bucket at it, right? Hit the same people that give money all the time, and let them tell them that they'll get to name the head coach. It'll be like um, the
Well,
zebra
we got.
the zebra tailgate head coach. Whatever they could be that.
I put up the commit list, and we've got 13. Out of those 13, it's one, two, three, two offensive linemen, one defensive lineman.
Yeah, I mean, I think they like a couple of the guys they got right now, but that thing's been in shuffle mode all season. Injuries, this, that, and the other. Like that has to be a lot better next year. And then the other thing is that I think it's gonna happen a little bit with just the natural growth, right? Like I think Landon Sides definitely had a down year compared to last year. Like last year he ended like a couple 100-yard games. He's been a little bit quiet. Is that Coke kid? There's another one. There's another like 6'3" guy that we liked, and he was playing a lot early. But you can see that what we said this at the end of the year is like relying on Damon Ward, Nick Rempert, a couple seniors, Blair Conrad, a senior, and we wanted them to really do a lot of stuff. Um, but next year it's gonna have to be that Coke. It's gonna have to be that I can't remember the other guy's name. I can. It's like
Ferguson, Coleman.
I have the roster here, but I don't know what it is. Another guy we haven't seen, Jeremiah Aaron. He hasn't done anything. Where's that guy been? I don't know. I'm not gonna look it up. But my point being is that we need some X and Z receivers that are dangerous. They can get down the field, they can catch the ball, and that can be a threat. And then I think that'll unlock a lot of stuff. I think Sheffield, Wyatt Young, Landon Sides, a little bit Dalton Carnes in there. They have enough juice that I like what they present for North Texas in terms of opportunity. I think we got to figure out the running back thing. I like Shane Porter, but I don't want him being the number one running back coming back next year. And you look at DeMajah Harris; he's coming off an injury. Uh, uh, Ikaika Ragsdale's going to be gone. And then, like, who else? Like, I mean, I don't know if Juwan Price is going to play anymore, right? He had a devastating leg injury. Yeah. So, I mean, we need to fill the running back room, man. Like, even Mackenzie McGill continues to improve, et cetera, whatever. Like, you need to challenge these guys. You need to bring in depth at the very least, because we've seen what happens to our running back room. It gets devastated.
Yeah. So again, with recruiting, I think recruiting matters, right? And we're not doing a great job. We have three so far, and like you said, it can be in flux. It can change between now and signing day, but we've got 3 commits at the wide receiver position: 5'9", 170, 5'10", 170, 5'10", 160. Running back, 6'2", 198. We're not bringing in the size that we need to bring in. That defensive lineman, 6'2", 285. Skinny. Edge rusher, 6'3", 225, a little bit more traditional. It's I don't know. I don't know if we're doing the right thing.
What did Aldo say? I like them big, tall, and strong. That's what I like.
Corn fed, country strong, like they say in EA college football.
There, it's Baron Tipton that I was thinking of. I'm looking at it right now. Yeah, Baron Tipton, 6'5", out of Capel. That's what I was thinking of.
I think something's wrong with my list because I'm not seeing everybody.
I mean, it could be. I mean, he's a freshman. He's been out there. He did good at in the preseason. All right, so I mean, look again. I think 5 losses is bad, right? And a lot of this is on the head coach. I mean, it's all on the head coach. Ultimately, he's responsible for it. But like I said, I wrote it's the players, right? You got to catch the ball. Like, I mean, there's nothing else to talk about. You got to catch the ball. It's a player's game. Like, like Eric Morse can design up the play. He can call up this play, call up that play. But you got to catch the ball, right? That's it. Is a good quarterback out there throwing the ball. Like last week, the criticism was for Chandler Morris. Like, hey, you got to play better. You got to make better decisions with the ball. You're the best player. You're the most important player on the team because you're the quarterback. And then also, the offense runs through you. You got to make perfect decisions, near perfect decisions every time. There's nothing wrong with being aggressive, but it needs to be a smart aggression, right? You have to say, I'm making this throw because I was trying to stretch the defense and I thought it was good. Um, and everybody else, you got to catch the ball. Defensively, I don't know. I got to rewatch that game because I didn't see like the first quarter exactly what was happening, but it looked a lot of the same. I don't know. It's getting pushed back in the run game, getting run over. Um,
It's big holes.
yeah, and then, and then that quarterback had all day to throw the ball. He threw for nearly 300 yards on only 23 passes. And if he didn't stare down one dude, he might have had like a perfect game, right? It's just that one time he threw it right to Quentin Hammonds. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, there's got to be changes made this offseason. Um, I don't think we're ready or can afford to fire Eric Morris at this point. I think let things develop, but he's also got to make some changes to show that he sees the problems and he's doing something to address it. Right? Who is he going to hire a defensive coordinator? Who's he going to bring in? What is he going to do about this recruiting cycle? All of those things we're going to be watching because we don't want to sink another year and hold ourselves back because it has a ripple effect, right? Several years down the line, we're gonna have a problem. We saw this with um, Latrell, where he did well with McCartney's guys, and then kind of trailed off after a while, and you know don't want to rehash that, but struggled in a lot of areas.
Yeah, I mean, what I'll say is that like Eric Morris kept a lot of Latrell's dudes, and I don't think that's bad. I think but I think there was a little hit and miss. I think the defensive cupboard was a little bare, and it's more mismatch, right? Because it was like fired this guy, but he had some dudes, new defensive coordinator, and he brought in some guys, and not a whole lot of there was not a lot of roster planning going on for 3 or 4 years. It was patchwork, a lot of JUCO guys, a lot of transfers, and then this year again. I've said this a bunch of times. I think they said, let's build from the ground up. Let's get a lot of youth, right? Offensively, they have a lot of freshman receivers, a lot of young guys, underclassmen, all throughout the roster. And I think that's the part where we can, like I said, look at it positively. It's like these guys are going to grow. We're going to get some potential out of these, realized potential out of these dudes in the future. And that's the risk. Again, I said the same thing about firing Matt Capone. You fire Eric Morris or, whatever, then you're kind of throwing it all, you're throwing the plan away. And the best way to keep the plan going is to hire a similar guy that understands what to do with 5, 6 freshman receivers, right? You're not going to get a guy like we're going to run the ball, and then he has a bunch of freshman receivers out here. So now all those guys are gone, right? Now you have it. You're basically starting at zero again. So if you're comfortable with that, then sure. But then you're also selling that to your fan base, saying, all right, we're going to start at zero. Everything for the past 2 years, 3 years, didn't matter, didn't import. It doesn't help us anymore. And you're like, that's difficult, right? Maybe it's necessary, but it's the difficult sell. So then, same thing as like, I think whatever guy you get in to bring to run the defense, even if it's Brian Odom still, has to just be able to see what we have here. Got some talented, useful underclassmen, safeties, linebackers. I think we need upgrades at key spots at the defensive linemen. Terrell Dawkins has been good. We need more like him, and we need more game changers. We need like 2 game changing defensive linemen, and then I think everybody's going to look better, right? Suddenly, when that quarterback has a guy in his face, Quentin Hammonds is going to be getting a lot more interceptions, opportunities.
Sure. And there's only so much we can lean on. Like there's 77 new guys on the roster, right? You want to see progress, you want to see improvement, and we saw the opposite. We came out super explosive. Other teams adjusted to that, and then we have not been able to adjust back to that. So I guess that applies less to the players and more on the staff on being able to maximize the potential, right, with this youth.
I mean, but
When
again, for me, Damon Ward, he has the biggest drop off. 230 yards the first game, and then he had 68 this one, but it was like 4 drops.
yeah, I
He's
mean
their guy. He's their guy.
injuries
Yeah.
injuries have played a big factor, right? Ward's been hurt. He gets dinged up pretty easily, but he's the big guy catching in traffic and
Yeah.
making those
Yeah.
kinds of
Big
plays.
time. Yeah.
Chandler Morris is getting knocked around. He's getting hurt, right? Reason he threw that interception against UTSA is because he's hurt and he just couldn't get it out there. Right? When you're hurting and you try to throw the ball, it you cannot put in that
Yeah.
same force.
But yeah, so that's the part is that like that's the reason why we're saying like, well, it's an excuse. 77 new guys, we're not getting them to progress, but also there's like 77 new guys are supposed to support this sort of superstructure of guys that have been here. But those guys have been here either been hurt, like you said, Ragsdale, Damon Ward, et cetera, or like I mean left the team, like Gabe Blair. Gabe Blair is one of those guys that's been on the team, and we're like, hey, he's been here for a long time. He's been a lot of good. He quit. He's gone. So who do we have up there? Tyler Mercer, freshman, right, playing center. So I mean that's good in that if he's good enough to play right now and he's playing okay, he's improving. He's only going to get better. And so you say, I mean, assuming he doesn't get poached by somebody else, year 4 Tyler Mercer, he's going to be pretty good center for us, I think.
Yeah, I agree. But we have this coaching staff. Well, and the fan base has to be patient enough to
And that's what I'm
get
saying.
to year 4 with him.
That's what I'm saying. It's
Um,
like maybe we all just kind of just say, all right, maybe this is just, hey, we're playing the freshman kind of year. As
but
frustrating as
it's
it is.
yeah. When the glimmers of hope, we got really. I don't know if lucky's the right word because he was able to bring him in. But Chandler Morris is an elite quarterback, the best quarterback that North Texas has ever brought in.
How do you say elite in
Uh,
French?
what did I say? Elite.
No, I'm asking. That's what I'm saying. I don't know. I know you
Probably
speak of the
elite.
French.
So he by bringing him in, false sense of hope, right? Um, and that's not terribly fair to say either.
I mean, I
Um,
don't, I don't know. It's false. I think he produced what we wanted. He's near the top of all of our record books. That's kind of
right.
yeah.
And, and he elevated the entire offense, um, just with one player through Chandler Morris. And uh, why would he stay another year for the same thing to not really accomplish anything? If another team sees what he can do and say, hey, you can get us to a playoff, and
Yeah.
here's also $500,000. He's not going to stick around.
Well, I would say the one thing I do like to hear is that Gabe Blair and Leaky Asanuga aside, is that like Terrell Dawkins said he loves his program and he had a good time here. That Chandler Moore said that he's had the most fun playing football than he's had in a long time. And you get a lot of that where a lot of guys are saying that this program is good and they like it. And I think so, like I said, if you can figure it out, and it could be as simple as that we just got a lot of freshmen playing, a lot of underclassmen playing, I should say. And that they're going to develop, and that's the hope, is that they're going to be, you can supplement that with the right dudes, right? Like, I think you need a veteran quarterback. It's almost mismanagement to play like a freshman quarterback anymore when you can get a veteran dude with lots of playing time, almost just in the transfer portal anywhere. But it has to be a real special guy. So even if it's not Chandler Morris, I think there's still options out there. Like I mean, like Chandler Rogers was not anybody that was on anybody. There was nobody walking around like, oh man, we can get this Chandler Rogers dude. It was like, okay, the guy from ULM, I guess. I mean, okay, sure. He played well. He did a lot of good things here. And then again, like Chandler Morris is a dude that played at Oklahoma, played at TCU, and can do some good things. I think Eric Moore still, despite this little stretch here, him not knowing when to get the punt unit on doesn't mean that he doesn't know how to find a quarterback. So I'm still okay. You can learn how to do a better job doing the punt unit thing. Like I think it's harder. We've seen that it's harder to be able to get a quarterback, find a quarterback. We saw with Dan McCarney. He couldn't find a quarterback, but he knew when to get the punt unit on. So, I mean, I guess there's a trade-off.
Yeah. Well, yeah. My final point is that Chandler Morris was able to mask a lot of the issues we had with all the young players. Credit to him because he's so good. When he gets hurt, he can't right. He can't perform like he can up to his potential. So I think that helped get us to those 5 wins. We hit a wall. We've been on this 5 week skid, and Chandler Morris can't also coach the team, and so that's where we're running into some of that stuff. And Eric Morris has to learn off of it, and we're hoping to see some improvements, but we see the same mistakes over and over again. Again, I'm not calling for his firing. I don't think we can not just monetarily afford that, but like what the
From a,
sake of the team,
yeah.
we can't afford that either.
So last thing, I think here's the other part. I I don't know that it would be a terrible thing for Chandler Morris to to transfer play his final year elsewhere and do well. In the same way that Cam Ward gets a little shine for Eric Morris over here, right? Like all of that is good. If you have a bunch of quarterbacks coming, like playing under your umbrella, right, for a little bit, then it helps you get the next guy, right?
Yeah, it's a good resume.
Yeah, so like I mean, obviously I'd rather him, throwing touchdowns for North Texas. But if he decides that his future lies elsewhere, that's fine. Okay, you know, uh, hope you do well. Happy trails, all that other good stuff. Uh, but I think if the good news is that you get to say, hey, look, Chandler Morris, he's over there playing at I don't know whatever school, and he's doing well. I coached him up, and here's what he has to say about me, about this program as a quarterback, a place to learn, a place to develop. Oh yeah, I do it. Eric Morris is a great coach. He does this. He gives you freedom. It really helped me. Just like Cam Ward said. Just like et cetera, et cetera. Right? You add to the list. So I don't think that's terrible. Um, I think that I'd say it sounds crazy to say. I think the quarterback position is the least of our worries right now. I think the defensive
Sure,
line
sure.
is my greatest concern. Like we absolutely have to get better on there in that spot, or else it doesn't really matter. Because we're saying, all right, whoever this quarterback is, be it Chandler Morris or some future guy, you just need to throw for 500 yards a game and cannot throw an interception because we need to win 51-50 every time. Like I think that's unsustainable. So yeah, we need to get better defensively. Maybe that's hiring a coach right now, right?
Yeah, but we're gonna have to wait.
I mean, they're December 3rd, right? Like after that final week, everybody's getting fired, right? And so then you can the carousel starts, and we can start figuring out.
Yeah, and we're going to be watching, right? We don't want another defensive assistant, right? Another DB coach or linebacker coach to come in and have their first opportunity at defensive coordinator. Oh, he's shown a lot of promise. I don't want to see that. I want to see that old scruffy guy who sits at the corner of the bar, too old for this shit kind of guy who's been doing it for 40 years, come in and
Wait. Just to be clear, this is not your dating profile. This is who you want.
and making everybody run up and down the stands.
My dream date is a scruffy guy sitting at the bar. It's too old for this. Speaks of
keeping to himself.
yeah. Drowning the napkin. You gotta get your hands here. Yeah, it's just that, like Phil Bennett. He said, yeah. I mean, yeah, like I think that's the balance you need. You have like the hotshot offensive coordinator with the $70 haircut. You know what I mean? The fancy outfits. A little bit Eric Morris, a little Cliff Kingsbury, and then you need the scruffy guy that looks like he hasn't shaven. His wife keeps reminding him, you got to shave for these press conferences, and he's like, oh yeah. A little bit like that.
Shower.
Yeah, like yeah. Or like this coach is like, if you lose, you don't deserve a shower. And like, okay.
He's got raisin cane sauce in his beard.
Yeah, you need that guy that gets excited about like jumping in and showing the defensive lineman how to block. You got to get in there and fire and roll and whatever. That's the dude you need. And I mean, whatever. Matt Capone was too. He's a little unseasoned, I guess. That's the problem. Doesn't have enough scruffle. I got you. I got you. I know what you like. All right, folks. We went long on this one because we had a lot to talk about. Thanks for listening to the show. This has been the Mean Green Nation podcast. Uh, we're gonna do another live one next Sunday after the Temple game. That's like that might be the final game of the season. Very well, but there's also a possibility we could become bowl eligible and then not go into a bowl. Right, that's a possibility. And then it sounds like it's gonna be like the Frisco Bowl or something like that. Like if we get to a bowl, because there's a certain radius where like the North Texas people are not allowed to travel. That's my what I gather from everything. Because then they're like, oh, I gotta go where? To Shreveport, New Orleans,
Frisco.
I can do Frisco.
I've been to the Frisco Bowl several times, and it was a struggle there too. Shoot.
Well, like the Frisco Classic, right? Like I remember my grandpa, Pap, took me to Frisco. Did you play?
I think that was over.
Yeah, that was. They shut it down.
It was too classic.
Yeah, that's it. Thanks to everybody who watched us on Instagram. You're true fans of the show if you're gonna listen to the podcast form later with the YouTube version. But I appreciate everybody listening. It was good stuff. What else do we got? Somebody send. I'm just reading tweets at me. I'm gonna stop this.
Recording stopped.
And this. And now this.
Deuces.
And now this.